Ever found yourself, like, totally outmatched, facing those, like, impossible odds?
Yeah, those situations, they really get to you.
Totally. It's like in those moments, we find ourselves rooting for the underdog.
You want them to win so bad.
Totally. And, today we're diving into a story. It's got all that. Underdogs, crazy battles, more twists and turns than...
More than a chariot race through the desert.
Exactly. We're cracking open the book of Judges, chapters 7 through 9, the story of Gideon.
Even if you don't know the Bible that well, this story is just fascinating. It shows you leadership, faith, how power really works.
So basically, the Israelites, God's chosen people, they're having a tough time. The Midianites are a real pain.
Ruthless.
Totally. These guys just take what they want. The Israelites are desperate for someone to save them.
And that's where Gideon comes in, an ordinary guy chosen by God to do this impossible thing, defeat the Midianites. You'd think God would give him, like, superpowers.
Right. Yeah, like, Gideon, go use this magic staff.
But instead,
God's message is a bit more, let's say, unexpected.
Unexpected is putting it mildly. God tells Gideon he's got too many soldiers. Too many. I mean, isn't more always better in a fight?
Right. But that's the point. This victory, it wasn't supposed to be about how strong the Israelites were.
It's about God showing up.
Exactly. It's like God saying, hey, this is my show, not yours. Don't get too proud.
So it's a lesson in humility. Don't rely on yourself so much. Rely on something bigger.
Trust is a big part of this story.
And to think it all comes down to how they drank water.
It's true. Judges 7.5, God uses this water test. Those who lapped it up like a dog, they were the chosen ones. It's like a riddle. Why that test?
Some say it was about being alert, ready for anything.
Makes sense. If you're kneeling, head down, easy target.
Right, but if you're scooping eyes up, you're more likely to see an enemy coming.
But there's another idea, right? Something about trust.
Yeah, those who cup the water, they're vulnerable.
Not exactly the safest way to drink when enemies are around.
It was a sign of faith in God's protection.
So, thousands of soldiers down to a handful. 300 men facing an army like locusts. Talk about an underdog story.
300 versus who knows how many of that takes guts.
And then, the night before the battle, God tells Gideon to go undercover.
A little reconnaissance mission. Always a good idea to know what the enemy is up to.
Classic spy stuff. Except what Gideon overhears isn't about battle plans. It's about bread.
Sounds bizarre, right? This Midianite soldier, he's telling everyone about this crazy dream.
A dream about bread. I'm not getting it.
So, in those days, dreams were like messages from God. And this bread dream, it was a sign.
The sign of what?
Gideon's victory. The Midianites, they were terrified. And the Israelites, their hopes soared.
Psychological warfare, man. That dream changed everything. So the battle comes. You'd expect a massive clash, right? But Gideon, he's got other plans. Trumpets, empty pitchers, and torches. I mean, come on.
It sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
But it was brilliant.
How so?
The Midianites, they were already scared from that bread dream. Then, bam, trumpets smashing pitchers, lights everywhere.
Talk about sensory overload.
Total chaos. They thought it was a massive attack. They started fighting each other.
It's like, sometimes the best way to win isn't by being the strongest, but by being the smartest.
Using what you've got, even if it seems crazy.
And having a little divine intervention on your side doesn't hurt either.
For sure. But, winning the battle is just the beginning. The aftermath, that's a whole other story. And we'll get into that next time.
Winning a battle is one thing, but what happens next?
That's the thing about victory, isn't it? It's just the beginning of a whole new set of challenges.
So true. So Gideon and his men, they're beat, but they're pumped. They head to these Israelite towns, Sukkoth and Penuel, expecting, the royal treatment.
A hero's welcome.
Exactly. But instead, they get suspicion, fear even. Like, who are you again?
It's wild to think about, but these towns have been living under Midianite rule for so long.
They were probably scared stiff.
And they might have even made deals, offered stuff to the Midianites just to survive.
Playing it safe, like, don't rock the boat.
So Gideon shows up asking for help, and they're like, prove it. Show us these defeated kings.
Talk about a slap in the face. Here's Gideon, risking it all, and they're acting like he's trying to pull a fast one.
You can see why he was angry. It's about respect.
Total disrespect. So Gideon, he's not one to back down. He captures the Midianite kings and goes back to those towns. But what he does next...
Brutal. There's no other way to put it.
It's definitely intense. He punishes those leaders severely.
Makes you think, right? Where's the line between justice and going too far?
It's a tough one. Some people might say he was right to be harsh, that a leader needs to show they mean business.
Right. Got to maintain order.
Yeah.
But it's still a dark turn. Even heroes can do some pretty messed up things.
It's a reminder that power, it can really change people. But here's the thing. The Israelites see Gideon, this fierce warrior, and they're like, he's the one.
They wanted a king. Imagine that, being offered absolute power.
Can you imagine, after all that fighting, all the drama, he could have ruled everything?
It was right there for him. But he says no.
He turns them down. Why?
Because he understood something really important. It wasn't about him.
He saw the bigger picture.
He tells the Israelites that God is their true king. It's a powerful moment of humility.
It's like he learned from what happened, saw how power, even with good intentions, can corrupt. So you'd think that's the end of the story, right?
And Gideon rides off into the sunset, a true hero.
But this is the Bible we're talking about. There's always another twist, and boy, does this one take a dark turn. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. So, we're back, wrapping up this deep dive into Gideon's story.
And after a story like that, with a hero like Gideon, you'd think it would be all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, like happily ever after. But this isn't a fairy tale.
Not at all. Judges 9, it introduces us to Abimelech, Gideon's son. And let's just say he's not exactly following in his father's footsteps.
It's more like he took those footsteps and went running in the opposite direction.
Totally. Gideon, remember, he didn't want to be king. Abimelech, on the other hand, he craves power.
It's like seeing a mirror image, but distorted. Like same family, totally different drives.
And Abimelech, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He wants to rule, and he's willing to do the unthinkable to make it happen.
He goes after his own brothers. I mean, talk about sibling rivalry taken to a whole new level.
It's brutal. He murders them. Can you believe that? Judges 9.5 says he kills 70 of his brothers.
70. All to secure his claim to the throne.
It's like something out of a Shakespearean tragedy. Only one brother escapes, Jotham, the youngest.
Jotham, smart guy. He knows he can't take on Abimelech directly.
He's got to be strategic.
So he tells this parable, a story about trees choosing a king.
It's brilliant, really. He's publicly calling out Abimelech without actually saying his name.
Subtle. I like it.
In this story, all the good trees, the ones that actually provide something, they don't want to be king.
They're like, we're too busy being useful, thanks.
Exactly. But then they ask this thorny bramble, totally useless, and of course it jumps at the chance.
It's so obvious, right? The bramble is Abimelech, all about power, nothing of value to offer.
And the people listening, they get it. But even with that warning, Abimelech gets his way. And just like Jotham predicted, it's a disaster.
Violence, rebellion, even his own allies turn on him.
It's like he's cursed.
And in the end, it's not some grand battle that takes him down. It's a woman during a siege.
Drops a millstone right on his head. Talk about irony. This guy who wanted to rule, crushed by something so ordinary.
It's like the opposite of Gideon's ending.
Total opposite. Gideon rejects power, dies peacefully. Abimelech, consumed by power, dies brutally.
It's a powerful reminder, isn't it, about what really matters. So we've gone from underdog victories to power struggles, betrayals, lessons in leadership.
The Book of Judges, it's not for the faint of heart, but it gets you thinking. What would you do in those situations?
It's like holding up a mirror to ourselves, you know? Makes you think about your own choices, your own ambitions. And that's what we love to do here at the Deep Dive, right? Take these stories, unpack them, and hopefully walk away with a little more wisdom than we started with.
It's about asking the big questions, even if there are no easy answers. So, until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep.
Welcome to Charlie and Mia's podcast. We're embarking on an exciting journey to read through the entire Bible in just 1 year. Every day, we dive into Scripture, exploring its meanings and how it applies to our lives today. We invite you to join us on this incredible adventure of learning and discovery. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode.